Welcome to Pro World Live. I'm Danielle from Pro World.
It's me behind the camera.
And we are here today to really kind of walk you through how to pick the right size for your design, whether you're ordering custom transfers or whether you're doing vinyl or transfer papers, something where you need to determine the size for your garment and how do you do that. So while we're waiting for everyone to come on in and join us, make sure you chime in, let us know where you're tuning in from. We love to hear from you. And also let us know if this is your first time visiting. So my cameraman is actually yawning.
I'm sorry.
Can you believe that?
I'm sorry.
So he did not
I apologize.
get to chime in on people that are joining.
Yes. We are checking in from Rhode Island, DC, Southern California, Cleveland, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Brooklyn's in the house.
All right.
And many more still chiming in.
Perfect. So when you determine the size of your transfer and the size of your design, there's kind of a couple key items that you'll need. Number one, you absolutely need your garment ahead of time. Number two, a ruler. And then if you have them, some pieces of paper. And working with all those things is really going to allow this to be a kind of seamless, easy process to make sure that the size that you pick for your design is going to work, when you finally get them printed or when you get your design cut. All right, so what I'm going to start off with first is I mentioned always have your garment. And why do you always have your garment? Is because there's different fits and cuts, even though the size is the same. So for example, this is a youth medium, fitted looking tee. Now this is also a youth medium tee, not fitted. The size that you put on this shirt might not be the same size that you want on the fitted tee based on how your design looks. So when you are determining the size, the first thing that you want to determine is which way your design goes, whether it's horizontal or vertical. And then you want to take that measurement. I tend to design things that are more horizontal, so we'll start with that one first. So what you'd want to do is now take your ruler and determine on your shirt how far you want the widest part of your design to go on your shirt. And what I usually do is take the collar and go about 2 inches on either side of the collar. That's going to kind of give me this sort of area that I'm working in. So this is kind of like your front facing, spot. And then I just sort of measure my shirt. So for this particular garment, I am probably going to be fine with having a design that's about 11 inches wide. Probably more like 10, so that way I don't lose any of my designs on the side. So 10 inches wide is going to be my max. And what I'm going to do is just kind of mark these areas with pieces of tape. I mark it with tape because then the easiest way for me to do it is I kind of hold this up to a mirror and kind of determine if that's going to be too wide for my design or if I should reduce it or make it larger. This, when I hold it up to a mirror, feels a bit wide to me. So I am going to reduce it. I like to use the tape because, again, it really kind of gives me a good indication. And you always want to hold it up to a mirror or to wherever you're looking, somebody where you can look at it and determine if that's going to be the right size for your shirt. And so when I reduced it down, I'm right about 8 inches. So that's probably a really good size for a youth shirt. And that would probably be right in line with my collar. There we go. My collar is just about 7 inches wide. So then 1/2 inch on either side. So that way you have that between that. collar, and then the 2 inches, that's kind of like your sweet spot, depending on your design. And now, if you have this design or this shirt, and you kind of measure 8 inches to there and to there. So you can see on this shirt, 8 inches is pretty wide for your design. So for this shirt, I'd probably reduce it an inch on either side and bring it into the 6-inch mark. So as you can see, like one size doesn't fit all for your shirts. That's why it's so important to have your shirts in place to measure and make sure. Now, do we have any questions or shout outs before I get
We
to
do
the next?
have some shout outs here before you go back. We are checking in from Utah, Toms River, New Jersey. The Bay Area is in the house. Baltimore, South Jersey, Maryland, Warren, Missouri, Hobbs, New Mexico, San Antonio, Texas, Arizona, Atlanta, Williamstown, New Jersey, Maryland, Ireland is checking in, Kissimmee, Florida, Grand Rapids, Ohio.
Wow. So many people.
Long Island, how you doing?
All right, thank you all so much for tuning in. And, you know, this is probably one of those topics that you never quite know the size, or you struggle on the size, and then after you get it printed or after you cut all that vinyl, then you realize, I should have gone 1 inch bigger. So this is hopefully going to minimize that second guessing, so that way you make sure that what you cut or what you get printed is really going to be accurate for what you're looking for. So another kind of trick that I like to use is a piece of paper. Super simple. But if for some reason you don't have a ruler handy, or if you're like me and you lose your supplies, as I always do, it feels like I can never find my ruler or my scissors when I need them, a piece of paper is going to be a great guide. So 11.5 by 8.5, that's what you know that your paper is. And when you place it on your shirt, that is going to let you know. I usually place it 3 fingers down from the collar. That's going to let you know, based on your design, if 11 inches wide is really that measurement that you want to go with. You always want to pick one side or the other, whether your design is more horizontal or more vertical. That's your size that you want to base your design off of. So if I know my design is more wide and I'm measuring my 11 inches here, based on this look, here, I'll hold this up. And this is an adult medium. So based on this, I can kind of determine if my design was at that 11 inches wide, how I feel about the look of it. So do I feel like 11 inches is too big, or do I feel like I could probably go bigger or smaller? With that being said, you can also take that same piece of paper and go, this is a 2X. Now, a 2X tee, obviously you have a lot more space to work with. And you can see, I don't know if are you pointed down here? A piece of paper on a 2X tee seems a bit small. You could probably go to about here. So you know that's probably about 1.5 inches wider. So that way you can determine, you know what, this is too small, but I could probably go to about here and feel good that that design is going to fit nicely on my 2X. Now, if you also have a second piece of paper and your design is more vertical, don't forget 2 pieces of paper, that gets you 11 by 17. And then you can really determine if this feels good or if you have to alter your sizes. So 17 long, 17 tall is probably a good size transfer. And you probably don't need to extend all the way to the 17. Most transfers usually stop around that 14-inch mark because remember, people tuck their shirts in. You don't want to get it too low. Then you want to be able to see it. And based on the size that you're printing on, a 14 inch or 17 inch is probably good for a 2X, but you probably can't get away with that on, let's say, a medium, which would be this one. So if I did 17 inches, that's a really good coverage on this tee and probably too big. All right, do we have any questions?
No, but we got some more shout outs here. Where did I leave off? Okay. Denver, Colorado. Oh, MI is Michigan. Yes, thank you. Not Missouri.
Oh.
Rancho Cucamonga, California. Is that a real place? I thought that was make believe. That's the real place. Okay.
I think you just like saying that.
I did. Well, I wanted to say it too. But Kentucky is in the house and Brooklyn is in the house. Checking in.
All right.
Okay, no questions as of yet.
Okay. Now the last kind of technique, which I don't have here, but when you have your pieces of paper and you have your design in your design space, print it out. Print that out on your inkjet or laser printer. Print it out in the size that you'd want. Again, whether your design is more horizontal, print out the width of it. Whether it's more vertical, print out the height. And then kind of place that on your shirt and see if that is what you'd want your design to look like. And now you're not wasting any supplies. You're not, cutting the vinyl, or you're not placing an order. You really are just getting a feel for what kind of space your garment takes up. And that, I would say, is probably the best method to print it, to tape it on your shirt, to hold it up in that mirror and see how it looks or feels.
All right, quick question.
Yeah.
Any suggestions for placements on a V-neck?
So placements on a V-neck, you'd want to go probably 2 fingers down from the V. So, because usually, I have a V-neck on, that makes sense. So you want to go at least 2 inches down and then start, maybe probably 3 inches, and then start your design. So you're probably about right here. And you want to go, again, really basing it off of how you want your design to look. Figure out your width, and then determine the rest of it. And when you're in your design space, you'd want to, get that to that particular measurement. Again, if your design is more horizontal, get it to that width that you want. And then that height will just kind of fall in place for you. And then you'll be able to see that within your design space. Okay. But rule of thumb is always kind of like that. 3 finger down from the collar, and then place your design.
Okay. What about armpit focal length? Like, is that like a focal point for the arm length or for the armpit for your design?
Well, okay, so I think that means, so when you're looking at your shirt here, this is the armpit area, obviously. That would probably be, here, if I mark these off here, or actually, you can kind of use these here. The armpits, if you were to start your design at the armpit section, that would be much too low for a design. But if you use that more of your middle point of your design, that seems a bit more accurate. So I would probably gauge that. If it's a horizontal design, you can probably gauge that at the halfway point, or even, your design a third of the way down for the armpit. Using the armpits is really a good tool to make sure it's straight. So if you were to do that, the fold method, to kind of determine your the straightness of the transfer. So, okay, if you were to heat press, if you were to take your shirt, fold it in half. Oh, if I could fold it here. Here we go. Take it and fold it in half, put it under your heat press and crease. You'd be getting a line here. Then you do the same thing here with your armpits. And then give yourself a crease here. This is going to give yourself a crease down the center and down kind of the middle area. And then you can place your design based on where those heat press creases are. So that's a great kind of indicator as to sort of where the center of your focal point is for your shirt. And then you can kind of work your way around that when you're placing your design.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, but a couple more shout outs here from
right.
Dallas, Texas, and South Florida, Cape May, New Jersey, Brick, New Jersey's in the house, Bloomingdale. Is that Illinois? I'm gonna say Illinois. Yes, Illinois. Yep. Okay. And Longview, Texas is in the house. All right.
All right. And one last thing that I wanted to show you are our hoodies. What works? The size for a hoodie, which is right here, might not work for a sweatshirt. And your main reason is because of that pocket. So what you'd want to do is make sure when you're doing a hoodie that you leave yourself enough space so that way that pocket is not going to give you any issues. So the area for a hoodie that you really want to work with is, again, 3 fingers down, and probably to right about that, this particular hoodie has about to the 9-inch mark. So if I just mark that off, so I can go up to here and probably about down to there. And that is going to give me my area that I can kind of work in. Just like that.
Now, is this on any particular size hoodie, or is this on a...
So this size is an extra large. But again, like, you want to really measure your shirt. I can't emphasize that enough. Have your garments. That is going to be the first thing that you want to do. Before you even think about size, think about your garment. Have it there, measure it. See if this, you know, how you place your paper down or your tape or whatever method that you feel is best. Really take a look at it and see how that fits on your shirt. If you're really looking for, you know, a less conservative design and really want to kind of really big on the shirt and really emphasize certain things, then you're probably going to go way past these more conservative measurements. And that's fine. It really all depends on the look you're going for your transfer and your design.
Okay. A couple more shout outs here because I don't think everybody got their shout outs in.
All right.
Shirley says hi from Canada. Hey from Nebraska. Tawas City, Michigan. I hope I said that right. Arizona, Tampa, Florida, Maryland is in here. All right.
All right. So just to kind of to sum it up, number one thing that you'll need when determining the best size is your garment. Number 2 that you'll need is a ruler. I can't express this enough. Rulers are so important when making sure your size, you know, will fit or your design will fit just right on your shirt. If you don't have a ruler, grab that piece of paper. And what's another really good helpful tip is to have pieces of tape. Just kind of like outline sort of like as far as you'd want to go for your design.
Oh, excuse me.
And then he's having an allergy fit back here. And then once you really kind of determine that best size for your shirt, go ahead and take that into your design software. Take that size, make your kind of layout that size, and then design in that space. So if you know you want your design to be a 9x9, make your artboard a 9x9 and make sure your design fits all the way from left to the right and then the top to the bottom so that the size would be accurate based on how you're fitting it. Now, if you already have your design created, then you're going to measure your garments, take the widest point, whether it's horizontal or vertical. So let's, for example, say that my design is going to be 9 inches wide. I'm going to go in my design space and make my design 9 inches wide and then check what my height is. And then I'm going to take those measurements back to my garment and measure 9 inches wide by whatever my height came out to be proportionally. And that's going to let you know that this particular design is going to be this size and this is how it's going to look on your shirt. And then you can determine whether you want it bigger or smaller based on those measurements.
Okay, that's measuring the front. What about the back? Because the back is different and also the sleeve.
Yeah. So for the back of your, let me go back to a t-shirt here.
Excuse me.
So for the back, that would really, you kind of really, base,
Thank you, Kelly.
you would base the back on a few different things. Where you want that back print to start, what you're printing on it. So if, for example, you're doing like a name on the back of a shirt, that would go across your shoulder blades. And that, yes, you'd absolutely want that to deal with where the armpits are. So that would be this area here. The back of the shirt, you get more space to work with. So you can make those designs a bit larger because you don't really have to worry, especially for females, you don't have to worry about it going around the sides here. So you can kind of really space that off the entire back. So that, again, get your piece of paper, place, would be 11 inches wide. And I think that that's probably great for, this is a youth shirt. I probably wouldn't go any further than 11, maybe even bring it down to 10. But you'd want to start your design probably right about here. So you're still about probably 3-4 fingers down. So 4 fingers, start your design here. And that would give you a good guide. Now, if you know that you are printing these for, a female or somebody that, wears their hair down, those are all things that you want to take into account. You can go much higher for a men's shirt than you would for a female shirt because, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Long hair, short hair. But that's one of those, it doesn't really, yeah, I mean, that's one of those things to consider. Now, when you're doing a hoodie, that is going to be totally different because you don't want that hood to get in the way of your design. So you have to really consider the hood for placement. If this is going to be here, you can start your design after the hood and down. If you are doing names on shirts, which most are names or numbers that go on backs, just kind of, you still want to go in that same sort of upper range, whether or not there's a hood. So that's the only thing for hoodies. You just consider that hood, consider what's on the back, and then determine your size. But the way you do the back is exactly the same way you do the front. Measure your area that you want that transfer to exist in, and then that's going to determine the best size for you.
Okay. And the sleeve also. The sleeve is pretty much fair game.
Yeah, the sleeve is usually, I wouldn't go any wider than a 3-inch for your sleeve. And it really depends on how, are you doing a long sleeve? Are you doing a sleeve print just here? If you're on the side here, just a little kind of emblem, measure that size. You probably have, so when you're doing a pocket logo, the suggestion for pockets is usually no bigger than 4 inches. So a 4x4 is your pocket area. Most of the time, 4 inches is too big, for small through probably extra large shirts. 4 inches may be kind of overbearing if you had a big 4x4, like a circle. So bring that down. 3.5 is probably your sweet spot for a pocket logo. And then when you're doing your sleeve, if you have this type of sleeve, you can pretty much gauge it on that same sizing like a pocket logo. So I'd probably be in that 3 to 3.5 range if I'm doing just a little sleeve imprint here. When you're doing a full sleeve down, 3 inches wide is pretty much the max that you want to go because you don't want it to go underneath or too far over because then you wouldn't be able to see what you're printing down the sleeve. And then just measure from here to the length of the sleeve or however long you want that design to take up.
All right, great.
All right. No more questions?
That was it.
All right. Well, I hope this was helpful, and I hope that, when you get your design into your design space and you get it all printed, that every design from here on out is going to be the size that you need. And if you have any questions, we're always available through email. You can message on this, on our live as well. We will be happy to help you. So thank you so much all for watching, and we will see you here next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.